The roar of engines suddenly fell into a stunned silence when a small boy burst through the edge of the bikers' gathering, his shoes torn, his face streaked with dust and tears, his voice shaking as he screamed for help he wasn't supposed to ask from men everyone feared. He tripped, caught himself, and ran again, straight toward rows of leather jackets and chrome machines, clutching something in his hand that would change the night forever. No one knew who he was, no one knew why he was there, and for a heartbeat that felt like an eternity, everyone wondered whether this desperate interruption would end in anger, or something no one would ever forget. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Only Kindness right now. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. The boy's name was Elior, and he was only 10 years old, but life had already carved worry lines into his small face. He had been sitting outside a rundown apartment for hours, listening to his mother's breathing grow shallow, watching her hands tremble as she tried to hide her pain. The phone on the table showed no signal, the neighbors were gone, and the nearest clinic was miles away. When the pain became unbearable and his mother collapsed, Elior remembered something he had once overheard at the market, that the bikers by the old quarry always had trucks, always moved fast, and always looked after their own. So he ran. He ran until his lungs burned, until his legs shook, until the glow of fire barrels and motorcycles appeared like a forbidden city in the dark. He did not think about fear or danger. He only thought about his mom. The gathering was supposed to be a celebration, a rare night of laughter and brotherhood after weeks on the road. Men with scars and stories stood frozen as the boy pushed through, holding up a crumpled note with his address written in shaky letters. Some faces hardened out of instinct, others softened despite themselves. The leader of the group, a broad-shouldered man named Cade Rowan, noticed something that made his chest tighten. The boy was not asking for money or food, but for time. Cade remembered a night years ago when no one came for him, and how that absence still echoed. The music stayed off, the engines stayed quiet. One by one, helmets came off, and the weight of the moment settled over the gathering like a held breath. What followed was not loud or dramatic at first, but it moved with purpose. Bikes were started, trucks were loaded, and without a single argument, the celebration turned into a convoy. Elior was lifted into a warm jacket, given water, and placed safely between two riders as they followed him through dark streets and broken lights. When they reached the apartment, the smell of damp walls and worry filled the air. The boy's mother, Mara Vance, lay barely conscious, her skin pale, her breathing shallow. No one hesitated. Calls were made, routes were cleared, and when the ambulance was delayed by distance, the bikers did what they did best, they moved. With careful hands and steady speed, they transported her, riding ahead and behind, clearing roads, guiding the way like a shield made of steel and loyalty. Hours later, under harsh hospital lights, Elior sat on a bench far too big for him, swinging his legs and staring at the floor. Cade sat nearby, pretending to check his phone, but really watching the boy's shoulders rise and fall. Doctors worked behind closed doors, time stretched thin, and fear tried to creep back in. When the doctor finally came out with tired eyes and a small nod, relief crashed through the hallway like a wave. Mara would live. She needed treatment, time, and rest, but she would live. Elior didn't cry at first. He just leaned forward, hands covering his face, as the weight of the night finally lifted. Around him, men who had been called monsters by strangers stood quietly, some wiping their eyes when no one was looking. The days that followed carried a different kind of noise. The apartment was cleaned, groceries appeared, medical bills were quietly handled. A bike helmet showed up for Elior, too big now, but meant for the future. The boy learned that strength didn't always look like shouting or fists, and the bikers were reminded that the road sometimes leads you exactly where you're needed most. The gathering by the quarry became a story passed along with pride, not because of what they rode, but because of what they chose. And every time Elior heard an engine in the distance, he no longer felt fear. He felt safety. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Only Kindness, because these stories only travel as far as you help them go. And before this ends, I want to ask you something important.